It all started in February 2025. During a week when I was completely alone, I lived in a quiet neighborhood. At that time, my parents were traveling abroad. The first strange thing happened around 2:17 a.m. I was half asleep when my phone vibrated. Suddenly, I received a message from an unknown number. "Are you still awake?" I hadn't posted anything, so I ignored the message. A few minutes later, another message arrived. "You just turned your head to the left." My heart stopped. Because I had actually done that. I suddenly sat up and typed, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "You don't remember me yet." I blocked the number and tried to sleep. The next morning, I found something that made my stomach tighten. My bedroom door, the one I had locked with a key, was slightly open. I convinced myself that I was imagining things. The following night, while scrolling through social media, I noticed something strange. A new account had just followed me. No profile picture, no posts, just a username made of random numbers. I didn't sleep that night. Around 2 a.m., my phone rang. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a video call from the same anonymous account. I stared at the screen, frozen. Then I answered. The camera turned on. At first, there was only darkness. Then, the image became clear. It was my living room, the same couch, the same table, the same old crack in the wall near the light switch. I screamed and ended the call. I ran downstairs, turned on all the lights, nothing, no one. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, locked myself in my room, and called the police. They came. They searched the house. They found nothing. They told me to rest. They said there was no one in the house. After they left, I went back to my room and locked the door behind me with the key. That night, I heard footsteps. I'm sure they weren't outside the house. They were inside. Footsteps moving from the kitchen to the hallway, then stopping, right in front of my bedroom door. I held my breath, the knife trembling in my hand. I heard someone whisper my name. Then the doorknob moved, just a little. Suddenly, everything stopped. I couldn't hear anything anymore. I didn't sleep at all that night. In the morning, I packed my bag and decided to leave, anywhere, as long as I didn't stay in that house. When I finished packing and opened the front door, something fell to the ground. A printed photograph. A picture of me, sleeping. Honestly, I didn't understand anything anymore. I drove straight to my friend's apartment and told him everything that had happened. He didn't believe me. He said it was just a sick prank, until I showed him the photo. He was shocked. I stayed at my friend's place until my parents returned from their trip. I told them everything. They immediately called the police. After investigating again, the police finally found something in my house. In the kitchen, there was a hiding place behind the walls. Inside it were food leftovers, a phone charger, and dozens of photos. Photos of me and my family, taken over several months. That person never returned to the house after that day. And the police, to this very moment, are still searching for him. Honestly, I'm hesitant to tell this story again, because few people would believe me. And I hope nothing like this ever happens to anyone. That night I spent in that apartment, and the terror I experienced, I will never forget it in my life. My name is Endra. I've been living alone in an apartment for about 2 months. A simple apartment in an old building. As you know, with work all day, after work a person just wants to find a place to sleep. At first, everything was normal, until I started noticing small things. The first thing was the faucet. I always made sure it was off, but some mornings I found it dripping. I told myself it was probably just a problem with the plumbing. Then I started noticing a strange smell in the apartment. I don't know how to describe it. A smell like sulfur. Every evening, after I came back from work, I would notice this smell. But the thing that made me stop ignoring it was the bathroom. I used to shower at night, and when I finished, I would leave the shower curtain fully extended. One morning, I entered the bathroom and found the curtain partially folded, as if someone had pulled it and folded it. I tried to convince myself that I had done it and forgotten, but even so, I didn't feel comfortable. One night, I came home very late. I was extremely exhausted, so I fell asleep directly on the couch without changing my clothes. I woke up suddenly. I don't know why. It was around 3 in the morning. The first thing I noticed was the air. There was cold air touching my face even though all the windows had been closed before I slept. I sat up slowly, and without any sound, I saw something that made my body freeze. The bedroom door. It was open. I was sure, absolutely sure that I always closed it. I didn't move. I was frozen in my place at that moment. Suddenly, I heard a sound coming from the bedroom, like something hitting or being moved. I was extremely scared and tried to calm myself and convince myself that I was just imagining it. But all those thoughts stopped when I saw a shadow, a human-shaped shadow, standing still, motionless. Seconds passed, or minutes. I don't know. Then the shadow took one step backward and disappeared into the room. I didn't scream, I didn't move. I stayed sitting in my place until the first light of dawn appeared. Only then did I enter the room. It was empty, as if nothing had happened and everything had been just imagination. I stood in front of it for a long time, trying to convince myself that it was all just coincidence, just illusions. That morning, I left the apartment. I went straight to the building manager and told him I wanted to move to another apartment, even if it was smaller. The important thing was that I would no longer stay in that apartment. A few days later, I moved my belongings and left. I didn't report it to the police, and I haven't told my full story to anyone because I know this wouldn't be taken seriously. Honestly, brothers, I want you to explain to me what happened to me, and I want to hear your opinions about this. Something strange happened to me, and honestly, I still haven't found an explanation for it, until now. This happened to me in March of last year. My job required me to travel between cities at night. At that time, the road was straight and quiet, with very few cars after midnight. I had finished my work late, and I decided to return the same night instead of staying overnight. It was around 1 o'clock in the morning. The road was almost empty. The radio was playing softly, and the air was cold, as usual. At first, everything was normal. After about 40 minutes of driving, I started to notice something strange. A car was behind me. It was keeping the same distance between us. At first, I told myself, this is normal, it happens, so I didn't give it much importance. But after 10 more minutes of driving, that car still didn't pass me at all. I tried everything in that moment. I slowed down so it could overtake me. But nothing. That's when I started to feel uncomfortable. Then I wanted to make sure whether the car was really following me or if I was just imagining things. I reached a road intersection and changed direction, and the shock was, the car changed direction too. That's when my heart started beating fast. As I was trying to understand what was happening, I suddenly heard a light knocking sound from inside my car. I quickly moved my eyes around, but there was nothing. The doors were locked, the windows were closed, but the knocking sound repeated itself several times. I didn't turn around because I started to feel my hands going numb from fear. A moment later, I heard a whisper very close to my ear. It said, "Don't stop the car." At that moment, I can't describe the feeling I had. I pressed the gas as hard as I could, hoping to reach a gas station ahead of me. I looked in the rearview mirror. The car that was behind me was gone. I kept driving, and after a while, I started to see a gas station from a distance. I felt a bit relieved. I arrived, stopped the car. I got out, shaking. I sat on the ground without even realizing it. After that, I decided to go back. And that's exactly what I did. I returned home immediately. Since that day, I have never taken that road again, especially at night. And I feel like I developed a kind of phobia from what happened to me, to the point that when I drive at night, I keep staring at the mirror for a long time to see if there is someone there. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real and unsettling stories. And if you have a strange experience, leave it in the comments. It might be the next story.